explain this. So guys, I want you guys to get up with me for a sec. So when you guys have contact, so like for example, Andre's got a good example here. When you, I'm gonna borrow you again for stunt double. So if I have my hands on you and I'm about to knee you, whoever is the controlling character in your scene, like whoever is driving the action, whoever is doing the punch, who's doing the interaction, and their character is the victim. You want to make sure that that character is the one driving everything. So you animate this character first as a priority, because the other character is just going to be a dummy and follow like what the other character is doing. So when it comes to polish, make sure you polish this action first, and then you can just pose. Because if you have the rough posing, you'll know like the beats you need to hit with the enemy. Okay. But yeah, as long as you determine who's in control at that moment, that's who you animate first, and then you animate the other character afterwards.
She was doing like that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do a choke, right? So once you have contact and she's being choked, then you're just animating him, and then she's just kind of like obeying the physics and whatnot, basically. Yeah. So basically, until they make contact, you animate both of them on their own, and then once they make contact, then you decide who is going to drive the other character's body for the most part, right?
But there is not like a way to do, I don't know, with like a locator or something, as when we did the push like the last turn or something like that?
You can. So guys, what you can do as well, if you find that I'll show you here.
Maybe we don't need it now, but maybe for...
No, yeah, you might not need it here, but for example. So guys, for example, if you wanted to not see like your opponent, but you still wanted to know where they were for reference, you could just constrain, kind of like what I showed you with tracking arcs. You can just create a cube, cylinder, whatever. And what you can do is just try to match it to similar scale of the character. So something like this. You make it about as tall as them, right? And what you can do, literally, is take the COG, then select the cylinder, and then constrain, parent constrain, right? And then so now, whenever you move, this will be visible and you can see it for reference, right? But now that I want to, and this also speeds up your scene too. So if your scene is really heavy for whatever reason, now you can just select RAF, select the cylinder, and then unselect, make sure Donatello is not selected or your other character. Hit Shift-I in the viewport, make sure you click on it, Shift-I. Oh, you also might want the ground as well. Shift-I again. And then now you just have the cylinder there for reference, but then you don't have like the clutter of the controls or like the model there, but you just know like where you need to connect and where you need to be and that sort of thing. Yeah, so this is a common practice in some studio jobs because sometimes the rigs are super heavy and have a lot of controls or high poly count, that kind of thing. So this might be easier for you to simplify. And even in VFX, a lot of times what people will do is they'll rough out an animation with just like a cylinder and a cube just to rough out like the placement, the camera, that sort of thing. So if you work better like this, you can totally do that and show me a pass like this and then show me it on a character. Yeah, because it's really fast and quick and dirty to animate like a cylinder or cube by itself instead of like a full character.
If it's grabbing any part of the body, should I parent it to where?
Yeah, so pretty much like if you're doing a choke, for example, so like the simplest way, like the easiest way is obviously like select the IK hand that you're lifting with or the FK hand and then constrain it to the character's COG because then that's going to control their whole body, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I don't need it for this because not necessary. But yeah, that's something you can do if it helps you a bit better visually. So I'll polish RAF here. So we're gonna go through pretty much this whole step here. I'll polish the most important part first, which is the impact here because that has the least amount of work done to it. Just to give you guys, because that's probably the hardest thing for you guys to nail, I think. A bit bigger so you can see. I'll put this over here. And when you guys polish, like I mentioned before, make sure you do a little bit at a time. So just focus on a small chunk first. So for example, with Raf here, make sure you turn off the controllers here. So I already have my poses, which is all working. And I want to just focus on up to the kick here. So I'm just going to shrink my timeline. So just these 12 frames here, okay? 12 frames. So basically up to here. So anything after this, I won't care about. So again, like we did before, so we're going to care about the COG first. So at the beginning, we've already added an in-between here to push off with the leg here. And then the leg needs to settle back here properly. So I'm just checking here to see if the motion is going how I like it. So I'm going to make it go a little bit higher here. So translate Y, just click on that, and now I get the perfect up and down. And the leg stretching I'm not going to worry about yet, just because I want the COG working as best as it can. So it's going to push forward and then down. And now this kind of hits a wall here, and then it starts to come up. So I'm going to make sure that this actually carries forward a little bit and this in between here. So what I'll do, I just box select here and go between 6 and 10, set a keyframe, right? And then I'm going to keep some of this energy of the previous motion. So we're going to go forward and down a little bit just to show more of the drag here. And this foot I'm going to lock down here. So this spin, I'm pretty much going to wait till here, then the foot will start to spin over, okay? So we're going to copy that frame 6 here and paste it to about here and here. Actually, you know what? I'll delete this one. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. Because basically the idea with this one here, you guys, is that I want the weight to be over the balanced leg first, and then from the spinning of it, then the leg can spin around. You don't want to do it before, because then the weight is not balanced on the foot that's solid, so you're not going to be able to spin your foot properly, right? You might actually fall over if you tried it yourself. And again, like I showed you guys before, make sure the feet, you get the proper transition here. So right now it's sliding. So I'm going to do a little lift here. And I'll see if that's enough. And then we're going to plant quickly here. So I'm going to copy that frame 6. We'll do it to, let's say 4. And then probably have to set this on 2 instead, maybe. So we might have to change it because this is a pretty fast transition here. We don't want it to pop because it's over 1 frame. And again, to polish the feet, you want to, wherever it settles, like so this is the planting pose here, but you don't want to affect what you've done further ahead. You can just move this back slightly and then add some rotation slightly. And you get some free polish on the foot. Again, I think this is still pretty quick. So I'm going to rotate the foot like this a little bit and then just have it come down slightly, just so it's not such a quick transition. Again, I'll move this over here. And yeah, don't forget to save often.
Thank you.
Panicking a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, please save, you guys. Don't be like Victor. And then now, since the COG is looking pretty decent here, you know, I'll probably actually add some more twist here. I'm probably breaking the leg here. I'm going to check from this side here. And I'll actually go forward a little bit just because we can affect the moving hold that we have here. So when you kick, so simple physics question, where should I rotate the hips here, you guys, on Raf? So he's swinging his leg from back here, and then it's coming around this way. Where is his hips going to go after this kick is blocked? It's not a trick question. It's just simple physics. Yeah.
Oh, I was just acting it out.
Okay. Well, what have you discovered?
The hips continue going forward, like
Yeah.
rotating a bit.
Yeah, so pretty much in anything with physics, basically the only way to stop something from moving is by having an equal amount of force in the other direction to stop it, or something like a wall, right? So if there isn't something like that, even like something physical like Donatello's like blocking it, the weight of the is going to come through and still go past that point, even if it's only slightly, right? So the amount of push you have to go past is showing how strong it is, and then also how strong the opposite force is, right? So for your character, for example, because it's a really big character against a smaller, weaker character, generally you can have that be impact her a lot more because her framing is a lot smaller, proportion size, that sort of thing. But since these guys in my shot are pretty much even in terms of size and strength, like visually, that I want to convey, I'm going to have it be about the same movement that they affect each other once they contact.
I have another question.
Yeah.
For my animation, can I just like fly her off the screen?
You can, if you wanted to.
I can?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Just again, don't go like crazy cartoony. Like Victor went pretty far, but I'll accept it because he did a lot of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, okay, now I don't feel confident.
No, don't. It's fine. So yeah, good question. So yeah, just like you said. So once it contacts here, we're gonna move it over more, and then also have it go translate as well, right? So pushing into it. And obviously we can move the foot after because it's IK, but we want to make sure the COG is doing kind of more what we want. So just like this here. So you see just this slight movement just on the COG, and it already looks more alive, like he's impacting the kick. Right? And same thing here, the spine is looking a little stiff, so I'm going to add some another pose in between here, so for some overlap. And again, I'm doing Raph to start because he's the star. We don't like Donatello, remember? So here he comes up. Yeah, question, Dean.
Yeah, so when you're creating the key poses, you grab all the controls and set a key and then started tweaking things.
Yeah.
I noticed that when you're doing these small polishes, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Is that because you want some of the controls to stay free so that you can move around?
Yeah, pretty much. So pretty much, because once you go into polish, like full-on polish, you're basically saying that everything is going to be staying the same, more or less, like in terms of my poses, timing, choreography, all that sort of stuff. So if your blocking is not up to snuff with what you want or how I review it, solidify that first and then show me, because once you go into polish, like your timeline's going to be a mess. It's going to be really hard, not super hard, but it's going to be a lot harder to clean up, right? Because you're basically just focusing on making it look organic and kind of breaking up body parts so everything's not moving at the same time, that sort of stuff. So yeah, make sure before you do that, everything else is solid about like whatever the pass is. Yeah, good question though. Yeah, so this moment here, if you guys look, so Donatello, or sorry, Raphael. They look the same, right? They're going from this pose to this pose here. So it's kind of going at the same time here. There's none of that drag and overlap in the upper chest or the head. So easy enough. There's already a keyframe here from us setting the foot. So what we can do is just take the upper chest here and drag it a little bit, add a little twist, and we can add a little more on the upper chest. And then same thing with the head. Add a little bit. And just like with the run cycle, when he's going up here and we're having the drag, when he comes down for the squash, what do we need to have? Anyone? Anisha?
Sorry, what was the question?
So when we squash,
Yeah.
after the squash, what do we need to show in the body?
Right.
That's after, but like in the body, after when a squash happens,
Yeah.
what happens to the body?
Compression.
Yeah, exactly. So we gotta show compression. So if this is our extreme compression, and he's kind of staying in that pose, right? You can go ahead a few frames here to frame 8, and then instead of just going straight up, we want to show that this squash was impacting his body in some way, right? So we can do easily, just take the spine and have it drag a little bit, right? Yeah, question?
Using the same rig, is that back leg like broken, or is that just how it is?
It's not broken.
Like you know how it like if you go between frame 6 and 8, like you can see it like
Oh, like it's completely stretched? Is that what you mean?
No, like there's like that, like on the bottom left, it looks like it's like disconnected.
Like here?
In the knee, like is that just how the rig looks?
Oh, here? Or you
No,
mean here?
like-
Sorry.
Like this
Yeah,
part.
point it to me.
Like this part. and
Oh,
then-
yeah,
okay.
it's kind of how it's designed. If you look, that's like its calf muscle.
Oh, okay.
It's exaggerated because it's a cartoon, but yeah. You can even see it here. Like it kind of has the same, similar shape. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good question though. Yeah, you do want to check like throughout your shot, like if you're breaking stuff or like if the skinning is bad. Again, usually stuff from Agora is going to be pretty decent, so you're not going to have too many issues with it.
Manny.
Yeah, Manny is not the greatest. That's why I gave it to you guys. It was a trick. So from this compression here, we already added it to the spine here, so we also want to do it to the head, so we're going to delay the head. And we'll do it to the upper chest as well, just like that. And now we get a slight bit of compression here. And again, like I showed you guys before, you don't need to take your keys and offset the chest by 1 frame or anything like that. You can do it within these blocking poses that you've already done, right? So since you already have this, I'm going to delay the head a little bit and then delay the upper chest slightly as well. And just doing this gives you a little more of an organic feel in the body throughout. You guys see the difference now? Like we have a little bit of stiffness that we haven't touched during this transition here in the spine. So let's focus on that now. So get the 2 upper chest controls here. And so he's squeezing here, so his spine is going in a reverse C curve here, like this. And then next pose he's compressing into more of a C curve, right? And then he's moving over here. So what we can do is we're going to carry that motion and continue it. So we're going to squeeze it that way. So it's compressing into the kick, right? And look at that, a lot more fleshy, a lot more natural. And the reason for this is because, especially when you have a fast transition, you want to make sure not to soften, but you want to show that there's energy going through the body in some way. Because then it shows like they're actually like not rigid, like a robot or something like that. Even robots, like they'll just translate like in a straight line or something instead of like naturally, like with a wave, right? And yeah, once you get the spine and the core kind of looking really good, it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and then you can add the arms and the legs in, and then that kind of rounds it out. But pretty much if your core and spine isn't looking really good, then it doesn't really matter what the arms are doing, you know? So I think this is looking pretty decent here. And again, even the foot here, so it kind of hits really hard. You see how it just hits this pose and then freezes? So again, I can go at frame 14 and just delay this turn slightly, just a little bit. And then also have it drag back a little bit, just so it gets a little bit of movement. And just that little movement there, that 2 frames, it already softens that bottom leg. You guys see that? Anisha, can you see it? Yeah. And make sure you save. And yeah, you can follow the same method with the arms. So I'll do one arm just to show you guys. It's going to apply to every arm that you guys animate. So what do you guys notice with his arm right now, the screen right arm?
Sorry, can you point out the soft, like that, the softened flow, like just at the end there? I just didn't get to see it properly.
Slow down?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay.
So you see it's like pow, and then like it's compressing,
Yeah.
right? Because technically, right, this is a stretch, right? Straight leg, spine is curving, right? This leg is pretty much straight. And then squash, right? And a little bit of compression. Now you can sell that more if you wanted to, but I want to do it slightly. I want to show that they're like evenly matched, so to speak, right? Because you have to remember your other character, if your other character is doing something like a block or a catch or something like that, they're also using their force to slow down or stop the movement, right? But if Donnie was doing this, like he's just like dizzy and it's like a free hit, then he's gonna just like completely give in to the impact and he's gonna, you know, go flying or something else, right? Yeah, so with the arm right now, it looks kind of stiff. You see like it's kind of falling at the same time. There's not really any shape changes to it. Basically, if you guys are looking at any body part, like the arm, for example, and you notice that it doesn't really change shape, like there's no drag in the wrist, or there's no like bend in the elbow, or like the angle of it, or like if the forearm is just locked in one position the whole time, you always want to like break that up a little bit, right? So easily what you can do here. So I see, if you guys look here at the first frame, and you go forward a little bit to like about here, there's like a slight arc that it's trying to do with the fist, if you follow the fist here. So what you can do, frame 3, is just rotate this up a little bit. And we're going to squeeze in on the forearm, and also the wrist as well. So automatically, we're adding a bit more of an arc here. And then as it comes down, so now again, with the squash, like we did with the head here, so since this is a really fast transition, we can just sell it in the later frames here, so we'll actually have more of a drag, just like that. And again, because in my blocking, I've done different contrasting poses for all my body parts in the spine, I'm already getting a nice arc going into the swing of the arm here, and we can just exaggerate it further. So again, you can add a bit more twist just so you see the fist, and you can make it come out a little bit. And then again, just slightly. And I'm doing slight movements because the amount of frames that it's transitioning between on the keys are like pretty short. It's like 2 frames, 2 frames, 2 frames, right? So I'm not moving it too much where it looks jarring or it's gonna pop. I'm just doing it enough where it just looks like it's fleshy and moving around. And yeah, as you can see, when it gets to that kick pose, it kind of hits the wall. It just like stiffens up and doesn't move. So that part we want to liven up. So here. And since it's an arm, it's not really the key, like the main thing that needs to hit first. So we're going to just delay the action here. So we're going to not adjust the pose after. You can do that too if you prefer. But since you already have as far as you want it to go, like this is your cool pose that you want to maintain, you can just go earlier. And since you already have the keys for it, you can just delay it slightly. Delay it slightly. And again, delay it slightly. And then right away, you guys see the difference now? It's not hitting like a complete wall, it's like a little bit of movement. And again, you can do the same thing with the shoulders. So again, when he's coming up here, oh, that's not so, there we go. So again, we can raise the shoulders up here like a little lunge, and then coming down, we've already compressed here. But then we can compress further, so we'll rotate the shoulders down more. And then once it comes up here, we can have the shoulders come higher. And looking a lot better. Yeah, question, Dean.
When working with the arms, do you like to start from the shoulder or first?
So it depends on the movement. Like if the shoulder is not doing too much, then you can start on the top arm and then work your way down and then emphasize with the shoulder. But if it's something like you're lifting your arm up or something like that, then yeah, you want to start with the shoulder because everything is going to be affected from the chain down. So if you start with the wrist and work your way up, you're going to be like counter animating stuff anyway. So yeah, always start with the biggest amount of movement first, like what's driving the biggest amount of movement first, and then work your way down to smaller controllers. Yeah, so this is looking a lot more polished here. And here, I'll go forward to the contacts. So we'll move it over to about here. I'll make this a bit smaller so you guys can see. And also, since we're doing polish, I'm going to make sure that this leg is a little more clear. Because it kind of arcs here, but it gets into this weird, like I'm not really a fan of this pose. This is over 1 frame. So even if you worry about Euler, you still have to do this kind of stuff. So I'm going to try to delay this further. Basically, I want to get a nicer silhouette because previously it's like kind of being hidden. There you go. Now you have a bit more drag. Yeah, always be mindful of your camera, you guys, because if you have a limb and it's kind of twisting like a foreshortening perspective, like if my arm is posing to Matthew, for example, you can't really see the shape of my arm or what my elbow's doing. It just kind of looks like a straight line, kind of like in comics. If you guys see like when a hand is like really up close to your face, I guess coming towards camera, they always have depth, so you can see like it kind of to the side instead, so you can see like what the elbow's doing, the arc of the arm, the arc of the shoulder, that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll do Donnie now. Any questions so far? Is this making sense? Victor, does it make sense? Yeah. Good.
What were we talking about?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So once you get the contact, frame 12. So again, same thing. So we have Raph pushing here, right? Absorbing the impact. But Donnie's looking a bit stiff. So instead of doing the other way where I had frame 12, we're going to affect Donnie, we're actually going to just affect frame 16 here for Donnie. So we're going to have the block impact here. So he, just to double check.
In this case, does Donatello move back? Does Donatello move forward because he's absorbing the shock, or does he move back?
So he comes kind of like up towards it right now. And then, so what you can do here is just have the impact like kind of go back a little bit because he's absorbing it. And then you can have the shoulders kind of compress inward.
If you have a stronger character, like, for example, like, let's say he's punching a statue,
Yeah.
would, like, let's say the character's just, like, really strong. And
Yeah.
basically the kick has no impact. Would he still move back a little?
So it depends. So guys, good question from Manisha. So like, for example, if like I kick this wall, right? If I just kick this wall really hard, obviously the wall's not going to move. I'm not going to topple the building or anything like that, right? Like I'm going to move, so like my energy would transfer back through my leg and I would like rebound off of it, right? So if it's something like a statue that doesn't really move, if it can move, like it's not like cemented into the ground, you can have it like slide back a little bit or something. Yeah, if it's something like a person, something with bones and like organs and stuff like that, like you're going to have some like bounce
Like,
go through the character in a sense.
Captain America Civil War.
Yes, I have.
There's like the scene in the airport where Bucky goes to punch Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
Spider-Man catches his hand,
Yeah.
his arm.
Yeah.
So it's like, would it still like kind of like?
Yeah, so even then it would still like, you would catch it and there'd be like a quick like jerk to like, because you gotta like, you can't just stop. Like if you guys try chopping the air really quickly, like you can't just stop in place. There's like that little back and forth. That's basically what would happen. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, they don't do the best action, unfortunately.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, fun to watch for sure.
The act of killing ghosts on October 2nd.
Yeah.
It's almost Halloween.
So we're gonna move. And again, like we said before, so this is similar with your guys' blocking stuff, or when you guys did the block animation. So it's going to compress from where the impact is contacting. So it's contacting his arms here. So it's going to push him back a little bit more, right? And then again, we can move Raph's leg because we have some room now. But we'll deal with that after we get this working. And we're going to delay his head going back a little bit. Maybe his upper chest slightly. And then now we can make sure the choreography on the leg is going proper. So it's kind of stuck in place now, so obviously we want it to push forward. Make sure it's not crashing. And actually there's some crashing here, so we're going to fix that by doing this. And just that little add, now there's like some compression in Donatello here. And we can finesse it further, just because you just want to get it looking kind of like what it's supposed to do here. Okay. And let's go back a bit, because we didn't fix Donnie from before. So this part obviously is super slow and slow motion, so we don't want this. So I'll hide Raph for this bit. So basically, because up until this point, Raph is not really interacting with Donatello yet. So we can just focus on Donnie here. So first of all, what is wrong with this transition here, you guys? So frame 1 to 6 with Donatello, what should I be adjusting first? What's off? I'll just play this short section.
Also the foot.
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
It's kind of
It's a bit floaty and slow.
Yeah, exactly. So,
A lot of weight to it.
so pretty much like I showed you guys before, you can take the key,
Perfectly level.
that too, yeah. So if you take the key where the foot plants in the position you want it to be in, let's try doing frame 3 where the foot actually contacts, and then we'll do a bit of a roll on the foot just to, because when we copied this key over, you guys notice there's stretching on the leg, like completely breaking the pose. So you can try adding a bit of roll to soften that, just so it's almost straight. And then the frame after, you can just kill that roll, kind of like what you guys did on the run. So I think that looks a bit better. So I'm gonna try moving it over 1 frame just to see. No, I liked it better the other way. Yeah, Dean.
That was saved before it crashes.
Oh yeah, true. Thank you.
I always get anxious when I know keys.
Yeah, that seems like the most sensitive thing, eh?
Yeah.
And then also as well, so the COG is moving pretty slowly as well, because once it contacts here, we can have the weight start to come down, right? So again, that's why you check both sides here. So the weight should be more so over this foot until this foot, front foot plants, just like with the run cycle, right? So you can favor this side here. And that's why you check all sides, even if you're doing animations to camera, because you want to make sure the weight and balance is proper. Even if you can't fully tell in camera, you'll be able to feel it in most cases. So do something like this. And then once it plants, then the weight can come down. And then over here, later in frame 9, we want to have it keep going, right? So we're going to have it go over more so. And shift over like this. So we might have overstretched the back leg, but we can fix that. We can fix that after. And again, we'll do proper delay in the spine for the punch, because right now we're missing that impact. Because, you know, even though we don't like Donnie, Donnie still knows how to fight, right? So again, here, so there's a bit of drag here, so I'm gonna just basically curl the spine a little bit. Just like that. And again, I'm just focusing on the spine and getting this like first like frame 1 to 6 here looking decent. So oftentimes just for feeling, I just play over and over again just to see the timing, see how it feels. And what you guys can do is play it in slow motion. Like you can play blast this section and then play it in slow motion. You can kind of see like, okay, is everything moving? Is there like a little movement in the shoulders at least? That kind of stuff. Because that adds just so much to your work. So. And I can do a little bit to the head, same thing. So again, head is kind of stiff here. So I'm going to drag it a little bit. Maybe even more. Maybe I'll turn it this way a bit. Now we have a slight arc in the head. Now Donnie is missing something, you guys. He's missing a clear like wind-up pose because it looks like he's a little like fearful at this point, but we still want him to like look like he's about to strike really hard. So we have this anticipation pose with the posture here, and then swing forward, but we need an in-between there to show like real power, right? So this we can actually select everything. And pretty much here we can actually exaggerate a little bit, and then we'll have the arm come back proper. So we'll twist the upper chest a little bit. So pretty much since the weight has landed and where he's going to be having his posture be is kind of where we've already decided. But we still want the upper body to show drag. Kind of like in Nakia's shot with the slap, we still want to like oversell the twist in the upper body and the shoulder, right? Right, Nikia?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess he's not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't pay attention, you're gonna miss things like this. So you want to make sure you twist the spine like this here. So we're gonna twist this a bit more. And again, basically making sure we're dragging back with the fist. And it's gonna be hard in this shot because we can't see his backhand. So we're gonna try to pose it out and try to make it as visible as possible. So probably doing something like this at least. And again, you don't want to really pose the arms completely because you want to get the spine looking good first, and then you can adjust the arm position after the fact. Again, we can show the arms here. And no one really punches like this, so you want to make sure that the fist is looking like this. You can check on all sides just to make sure. So at this point here, he's realizing I'm about to get kicked in the face, so it's fine for him to go from here to transition to a block. I think about this amount of frames is enough, just because it is a fast transition here, and he's not fully committed. But you can see now it's a little bit better in that he's trying to go for a hard strike, and then he changes his mind at the last second here. Now his spine transition, when he actually goes from here to here, is a little stiff and kind of samey. Like if you guys look at the line from here to here, it's kind of moving on one straight line. There's no like arc or curve or like transfer of motion in the spine, right? It's kind of just maintaining here. So again, what we can do, let's see if we can try to manipulate it from here. Yeah, I think what we can do is just set one here at frame 10. And now since we're going over one frame, you want to make this not super extreme because obviously it's going to pop if you do it too much. So we're just going to do a little bit here. You guys know in some films they animate on every frame. Basically every single frame is meticulous and decided. It's pose to pose, yeah, like Spider-Verse does a lot of stuff, so some like really fast sequences, everything is on every frame. For stuff that's usually a lot slower, you can do like every 2, every 3.
Isn't that also just every 2D animated film?
No, so 2D animated films, they're generally on 2s. Richard Williams, his stuff is mostly on 1s, which is insane.
Isn't Spider-Verse at a different frame rate too? It's not at
In some shots, yes.
In some shots they use 2s as well, right?
Yeah, so their style is on 2s, and then they use 2D smears and 2D effects to like enhance that stuff. And then they also have some like what's the word? It's like this AI thing that kind of goes on top of their animation that causes like the frame rate to change like in a way that they can control it. TMNT, that movie, if you guys watched the recent one, the Mutant Mayhem, I think it is. So that one, that's on 2s as well, but there's no like Spider-Verse AI stuff done to it. So even though it looks similar, it's not exactly the same.
It's more like choppy.
Yeah, it's more choppy, yeah. And that's because if you frame by frame that movie, you can see like they're holding like every 2 frames, they're holding the pose, no movement, hold. And that's why a lot of the times the action is a lot more readable. If you guys look at have you guys seen Puss in Boots, The Last Wish? Yeah, so like there's, that whole movie is done on 2s for certain moments, like the fight scenes and stuff like that.
Fast movies, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like the scene in the beginning with the Grim Reaper assassin type character. Yeah, that's like mostly done on 2s. So yeah, I don't mind you guys working in whatever style you want, just make sure, again, that you're obeying physics and normal body mechanics. Because the thing is, once you guys understand the rules of like physics and whatnot, you can totally break it after the fact. But as you're learning it, like if you don't learn this stuff now, you can't translate it over and learn how to adjust the rules and modify them and whatnot. So again, as we were talking about the spine and the COG here, so let's fix the COG first. So as it transitions here, so again, we'll start the movement going down, so we'll do it so slightly. And again, I'm going to go over one frame just because I don't really have the frames to work with here. But now with this fast transition here, there's like that slight arc. Can you see it? It's like very, very slight.
In the spine.
Yeah, exactly. Now we need to do it in the spine. So probably do a bit of this. And again, don't be afraid to go too far. Just see how it looks. Let's see how much that looks like. No, actually, don't hate it. I think because it's really fast, it just kind of makes sense. And I think it's this transition here that's really quick. So what I'll probably do is I'll get the hands a bit closer. So here, I'll probably do like this. And then again, some drag. So pretty much on your guys' animations for this assignment, the most polish you're gonna probably end up doing is during the frames where they're about to contact and after they contact. So that little jerk is okay, I think. So it's popping a little too much here, so I'm gonna probably, what I'll do is once this happens, I'll have more recoil in the spine for Donnie, just so it's not so stiff. I'll see if that softens that up a little bit, because this is popping too fast here. So basically I'm going to overshoot. There we go, past. And again in the spine. Go about frame 4 here. Yeah, it's a lot better. Because if you're going to move fast, you have to settle that action in some way, or you have to overshoot it. Like I was showing you guys when you chop your hand, you got to pick which one.
Chop my hand off.
Yeah, you can chop your hand off if you want.
Oh, right.
It's going to be hard to animate, though. I don't think I met a one-handed animator before.
You know how they do decapitation in Team Fortress 2?
No. How do they do it?
They shrink the head to as small size and replace it with the head give.
Ah, I see.
So.
It's game dev for you. Yeah, so this is a lot better. Let's fix the leg, and then we'll do a 10-minute break afterwards. So this leg is pretty straight here, you guys. You can see Donnie's back leg is like really stretched this whole time here. So sometimes all you have to do, like here for example, is just add a bit more roll. So not too much, basically to the point where it's locked, but then it like unlocks itself. Just so you still keep the straightness, but you're not breaking the leg. Because if you go completely straight with the leg, and then you try to transition into a smooth animation, you're gonna get popping and jitteriness in it. So you always wanna make sure that it's not actually completely straight. And again here, it's a little too much here. So since the leg is planted here, what we can try to do is just slide the foot a little bit. See if we can get away with that. So again, we'll copy this key over. And then we'll hold. And basically what I've done, because I'm a genius, is I've copied this over till 12, but then I've let it go back to its 16 pose, and now we get like the foot naturally sliding back from the impact. And we just got that for free, just from copying and pasting keys. Right? But again, for polish, since this leg is moving forward a little bit, let's add a little bit of movement and a little bit of rotation.
Sorry, which one you copied?
So I basically took this pose here, and then the leg was overstretched here, so that I basically translated the leg forward slightly, because I do have balance already on this foot, and his weight is going forward, so it's kind of okay to move the foot slightly for an adjustment, just to make sure it's not completely stretched. And then I basically copied it over, held it to here, and then here, but then I've left this key where it actually was further back. And since his body is going back, it actually looks more like he's like blocking the impact and his foot is sliding from it. So yeah, again, sometimes you're gonna get happy accidents like this. Other times you're gonna plan it out like me. Yeah, Dean, what's up?
Just kind of thinking, so what, again, so
Yeah.
I would also like maybe try to anchor my ankle.
Yeah.
And try to stop it so
Mhm.
the roll wouldn't stay like that straight, but it would kind of change the angle of it.
Yeah, so that's hard to get reference for, but like, yeah, basically if you're like on the ground and like you're sliding, like pretty much you're like gonna put your weight down a little bit, and then like your foot's gonna be like, yeah, pretty much like as you drag back, like your foot's gonna try to maintain its balance and kind of just like ground itself. Yeah, so you're gonna have a sensation like that too. Yeah, actually, when I animated Thanos, I had the shot where, if you guys remember in Infinity War, where Scarlet Witch is like shooting Vision's Mind Stone to destroy it, and then she's also blasting at Thanos, and then I had to do the shot where the explosion happened, and then he dies, and then I had a shot of Thanos like going like this, and then like sliding back, and it was a lot longer, the explosion, and then when I saw the final film, they cut it to like 10 frames, and I was like, my god, it took me 3 months to get that shot looking how they wanted it to. So, yeah, sometimes your work just gets cut.
Did they at least compensate?
Well, I mean, yeah, they pay you for doing the work, but like, you know, you just don't have footage of that anymore. So, yeah, it can be cutthroat.
Someone animated a character in the water, and then it just like comes out of the water, and the water runs over it, and he animated everything, and
Yeah.
then they just stuffed it with a lot of water and bubbles, and you couldn't see anything.
Yep, that's VFX for you. Yeah, sometimes what you're animating isn't what you see at the end. So, yeah, you eventually start learning like don't be precious with your work. You know, if someone gives you feedback, it's nothing personal. It's just they're trying to make the story or whatever it is the best it can be. A lot of clients have a history of not knowing what they want till they see it. So you might have to do a lot of versions, and you just might be servicing an idiot or something. But you can't say anything because they're paying you the bill. So, yeah. So yeah, if you get into a good place where the person in charge knows what they're doing or knows what they want, that's usually a really good thing, because it's not common, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, let's take a break. Let's be back at 8 p.m. and we'll finish up doing some more polish, all right?